Hi all PMP aspirants, I am Pratibha. So with today's video, we are resuming with our Agile series. The topic which we are going to discuss in today's video is Agile roles and description. So basically we are going to discuss how the team composition looks like in Agile and what the responsibilities of those roles are. In case if you have not watched our last video on Agile series, I would request you to please go back and watch it. The topic which we covered is the characteristics of Agile team, their features and servant leadership. The last video will definitely help you in connecting the dots, and it will help you in making this today's video's explanation simpler and easier to comprehend. So starting with today's topic, team composition is something which we are going to discuss. But before that, a quick recap on the features of Agile team. So first is Agile team comprises of dedicated people. Dedicated team members brings the focus and efficiency within the team. Because of this focus and efficiency, they can deliver the finished product more often within a shortest possible time. Second feature which the Agile team has is they are cross-functional. So Agile team, cross-functional teams basically makes them self-sufficient. It means they are not dependent on any external stakeholder or any other team member in order to deliver the working product or a working software. So the team is self-sufficient as they carry all the necessary skills within the team only. The team would have, if I speak about a software development team, it would have a developer, it would have a designer, business analyst, QA within the team, which makes them self-sufficient to deliver the finished product often. Third is small size, 3 to 9 members, less than 10 people is the team size which is preferred in Agile because this reduces any communication bottlenecks. It brings the communication efficiency within the team, and that is why small size between 3 to 9 members is preferred. Fourth is mixed teams. So with mixed teams, what we mean is Agile team has both. They have generalist as well and they have specialist as well. Generalist brings their dedicated expertise in one domain, but they also bring their collaboration skills or their versatility to collaborate with other team members and support in other domains as well, because they have a breadth of experience in other areas as well. While your specialist brings that dedicated expertise in one domain, which makes the team entire team expert in that area. So mixed team of both generalist and specialist is preferred. Fifth is self-managing team. So Agile team are self-sufficient to maintain their workflow, to manage their workflow. They do not need a team facilitator or a scrum master in order to manage their day-to-day tasks. Team themselves is authorized enough and managed enough to look after their day-to-day tasks without having any dependency on any scrum master or any leader. Sixth is co-located team spaces. So co-location of workspace is always preferred in Agile setting because co-location brings the ease of osmotic communication. It promotes osmotic communication. Then co-location also brings the team members together, so it increases that team bonding, and co-location also reduces the knowledge sharing or the training cost of team members. So that is why co-location is preferred. The last characteristics which I have mentioned here for Agile team is limiting the WIP, work in progress. So as we also discussed in our last video, Agile team would always prefer to firstly not multitask, and secondly always limit the items which are under progress, and they can do it through three different techniques or many others. So the three different techniques which I have mentioned here are: first is pairing, second is swarming, and third is mobbing. So what is pairing, swarming, and mobbing? So pairing is basically two users within the team or two people within the team are working on one user story or one feature with one keyboard. So they are sitting on one system together, and they are trying to, both of them are trying to develop one feature or one user story depending upon how you define your WIP. Second is mobbing. Here in the mobbing, what the team does is, the entire team is working on one WIP, one item or one user story. It's just that here you also have one system available. So you can assume a setting of that entire team is sitting on a table with one keyboard, and each of them are trading off that keyboard within a time period or interval of 15 minutes and 20 minutes. So let's say if the developer or a tester is sitting, then the developer first takes the keyboard, writes the code, everyone can see it on the screen, the entire team is sitting on that one table together. Then here the developer, after writing his code, hands over the keyboard to the tester or a QA. So QA develops his script here, and or a automated test to be run, and then after that each team member does their respective task together sitting on that one table, and one system or one keyboard is available. So they are working on one item to be delivered, but all of them are working together with one keyboard. Swarming is much similar to mobbing. The only difference here is, in swarming, team gathers first, they discuss the feature to be developed or that one WIP to be developed. So the one thing which I forgot to mention, in all these techniques, pairing, swarming and mobbing, there is a limit of one WIP. So entire team is working on one work in progress item to be developed. That one WIP can consist of one feature also, it can consist of one user story also, or multiple tasks depending upon how the team defines their WIP. So we were discussing about swarming. What swarming says is, the team gathers, discuss this one WIP, and after that team distributes and they start doing their respective tasks on their own system. So the tester would start writing the code. If you have the designer would start developing those design. If you have a developer will start writing the code, and after some point in time all of them gather together to discuss the progress they have made on this one WIP item. So that's how these are the techniques how the agile teams limit their WIP and how they actually work on completion of work in progress item. Now coming to the main topic of today, which is the team composition of agile teams. So the three different roles which we have in agile: first, cross-functional team members; second, product owner; and third is team facilitator. So what is the role of having a cross-functional team member? Cross-functional team member helps in having those necessary skills within the team to deliver your working software or a finished product within the shortest possible time. What I mean by this? So let's again come to the example of an agile team in a software development firm. Then within the team, it would have a developer, designer, business analyst, QA or a tester, and all of them bringing together have all those necessary skills within the team that they are able to deliver those finished product or a working product, a product which is also potentially releasable in nature, and that is what makes agile teams self-sufficient, as they are not externally dependent on anyone to deliver those working software. Second is, because the team is again not dependent on any external member, they are self-sufficient, so they bring a high quality work in shortest possible time because of having a cross-functional team members. So this is about the first role which we have in agile team. Second most important role which we have is product owner. So what is product owner? What are his roles? Why this role is so important within the agile team? Firstly, which I want to tell you about product owner. Product owner is the face of the team. What I mean by product owner being the face of the team is he is the one who is actually representing the team to all the external stakeholders, to customer, to management. He is the one who is engaging with all of them and understanding their requirements. He is the one who is engaging with customer, understanding the business requirement, and then getting it done or developed through cross-functional team members. So he is the one basically who gives the direction to the product, because he knows what are the features to be developed, what are the requirements of a customer, and what is the value which these product or these features is going to give to the customer. So product owner is a very important role because he gives direction to the product. Second thing is, he is the one who is responsible for creation and prioritization of backlog. So in agile teams, we have something called as PB, which is product backlog. What product backlog says is, basically it has list of the features that needs to be developed. So those list of features which needs to be developed, feature 1, feature 2, they are ranked in high priority or highest priority. So how they are ranked basis the highest priority? It is depending upon the value of that feature. So any feature which is giving more value to the customer will always be placed on the top of the product backlog, and any feature which has a lower importance for the customer will be developed at later stage. So any feature which comes on the top of the product backlog is going to be the feature which will be developed by your cross-functional team member first, because you want to deliver a value to your customer very quickly and more often. And product owner is the one who actually owns this product backlog. He is the one who gives ranking to this product backlog. So this is the another important task which a product owner performs. Third is, he is the one who is providing feedback and set direction for the team. So any product or any feature which is developed by the team, feedback needs to be given to the team. for the features that has got developed by them. That feedback is given by product owner. He is the one who is setting direction for the team. How he is setting direction for the team? Because he is the owner of this product backlog. He is going to decide which features needs to be developed first and what features needs to be developed at later stage. And that is how he is also setting direction for the team, because he is the one who is telling, or who is making the cross-functional team members understand what features needed first and why these features needed first to be developed. This point which we have discussed, another point was that he is the face of the team, because he is the one who is engaging with your stakeholders, your customers, your management, or any other external team member, in order to understand the requirement of the product, in order to set the vision of the product. So he is the one who is actually setting the vision of your product, which the team is going to develop. And that is why product owner is a very, very important role into agile team. The last point which we have for product owner is, he is the one who comes from a business background or act as an SME to the team. So obviously, because the product owner is responsible for managing the product backlog and valuing those features on the basis of their priority to be developed, it becomes very important for a product owner to have an understanding of business background, so that he is able to understand what features can be developed first. He is the one who is actually engaging with stakeholders and customers. So he must have a knowledge of business so that he can assist the cross-functional team also, or he can also set the vision for the product. Second thing is, he is acting as a subject matter expertise, and he is the one who comes from a business background. So please consider product owner role as a very, very important role, because he is the vision, he is setting vision for the product, he is giving direction for the product, he is giving feedback to the team, to the development team, and he is also setting direction for the team by making them understand what product feature needs to be developed first, and in the subsequent iterations to come. The third important role which we have in agile team is the role of team facilitator. So we know this team facilitator by many names, which is you can give him a name of project manager, you can call him a scrum master, you can also call him a servant leader or a team coach. Again, I just want to remind you, the last video which we have made was on servant leadership. So in case if you have not watched that video, please go and watch it. Servant leadership is a very, very important characteristics of an scrum master or a team facilitator, and servant leadership fits very, very well with agile philosophy. I have explained in that video why servant leadership blends together so well with agile teams and what is the role of servant leader. So please go and watch it in order to have a good understanding. Now, what is the role of a team facilitator? He does the facilitation. He does the coaching and mentoring of the team members. Any impediments, any obstacle, any inefficiency which your cross-functional team members are facing or the development team is facing, Scrum Master is the answer, or the Scrum Master is the one they can always go to and seek help from. So Scrum Master is basically removing those impediments for the team from from various verticals. He is the one who is identifying inefficiencies into the system and removing those obstacles to make not just the agile team but verticals also within that organization and organization at large more efficient organization. And that is why the role of Scrum Master is very, very important. So Scrum Master, this is the last point. Scrum Master can be both. He can be an externally hired person who is an expert, and he can be hired internally from within the organization. So if you both have their own pros and cons. If you are hiring someone who is external from your organization, then he can bring breadth of experience, but at the same point of time he will not have that connectivity with the internal team members, as he has not spent enough time within the organization. On the other hand, if your Scrum Master or a team facilitator is from the internal of the organization, then he can have a good team understanding, organization culture understanding, but he might not have that breadth of experience or expertise which an external Scrum Master brings with himself. So these are the main three roles which agile teams has. We have discussed what their responsibilities are, what their descriptions are. Please note these three roles are very, very important, and you must understand what their features are and how they are adding value to the agile team. Apart from this, there are three more features which I have mentioned here, which I just want to quickly cover. First is generalizing specialist. So as we discussed last time also, there are two types of individual. One is an H type of a personality, or you can say, let's not go into H type of personality, let's just say T kind of a person and an I kind of a person. So I kind of a person brings, you can say he is the specialist. He has depth of experience in one domain, but they are not able to contribute outside of that domain area of theirs or the expertise area of theirs. But the T-shaped individuals are very much valued into agile team. Why? Because firstly, they have depth of experience like an I-shaped person in one domain, but because of their versatility, skill sets, they can also collaborate in other domains. And that is why, because of their skill set of having a breadth of experience in other domains also, this skill set of theirs makes them very, very useful for agile teams, as they are able to contribute in other domains, in other areas as well. So it actually reduces the dependency from one individual. If an I-shaped person, because he's not able to contribute outside of his area, and if that person is facing a lot of work pressure, then a T-shaped individual can always come and help because of his versatility. So that is why generalized specialists are always preferred in agile setting. Another important feature which we wanted to discuss is about team structures. So team structures is basically, as we know, a co-located team is what is always preferred in agile team, but it is always not possible for each organization to have a co-located team spaces or co-located team members. So they can also have a system of distributed team or dispersed team. So what is distributed team or dispersed team? So distributed team says, let's say you have 9 team members, then some of the team members are sitting in one location, some are sitting in some other 3 are sitting in other location, and those remaining 3 are sitting in another location or the third location. So this actually makes you a distributed team, as you cannot afford a co-located team. So you can also have a setting of distributed team. Another setting which we have is of dispersed team. So dispersed team might have each team member sitting in different locations, and that is why we call them dispersed team. Now, as we say that co-located team spaces are always preferred, because with co-location, team bonding comes. Co-location also amplifies your osmotic communication. But because of increase in cost in bringing all of these team members together, or any other constraint, geographical constraint which an organization can have, they could also have a structure like distributed team or dispersed team. But how could we still make them an agile team, or how could we still make these distributed and dispersed team having an osmotic communication? By having team workspaces. So when I say team workspaces, what I mean is creating a virtual environment, even when we have a dispersed team or a distributed team, where we could have a fishbowl window with window or a video conferencing tool, wherein each team member is logging in the morning and then logs out at the end of the day, but all of them remains connected in virtual environment. It is as it actually nearly creates virtual environment of having a co-located team space, because each of the team members can see their faces, can interact and engage with each other. So these are certain techniques which we can have in agile, distributed and dispersed team as well. Apart from this, from having a co-located team spaces, many organizations today is promoting having an open collaborative workspaces, but still for having an uninterrupted place for team members to think and work, they could have certain private spaces as well within the organizational setup. So they could have a private area and a common area, and they are popularly called as caves and common. So if you want to have a quiet time, thinking and working on your own task, you can go into those caves. If you want to work into a collaborative environment with your team members, you can work on common areas. So these are some other unique features which Agile team can adopt. I hope you liked the video, and please do keep sharing your feedback. Apart from this, the next video which I am going to cover is on a very important topic from exam point of view. So we are going to discuss Agile charter, the team charter, and various ceremonies which is there in Agile teams. It could be retrospective, reviews, daily stand-up, or how the backlog preparation is done by product owner, how he does the refinement of backlog. So all of these very important topic are coming, and we are going to discuss into our upcoming videos. So I would request all of you to stay tuned, and please keep sharing your valuable feedback with me. Thank you so much.